What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. My name is Miles. Thank you so much for checking out the channel once again. Or if you're new here, welcome. I'm a 22-year-old full-time Amazon FBA seller, and that's what we talk about here on my channel. Today, we have a super special video here with my man, Avery, Romer the Romer. First time we've hung out in literally 2 years.
Yeah,
we're here for his conference, and in this video, we're going to go talk about how he went from essentially like kind of homeless, living in his vehicle voluntarily
homeless,
to doing almost $2 million in revenue in Amazon, almost all of that selling used books. So it's going to be cool to check out his store and kind of dig into some different things and really, talk about how you completely transformed your life for the past years and built out, a variety of cool different businesses, what you got going on, and then any plans for the future. So good to have you here, man. You want to give a little bit of background on yourself and how you found all the Amazon stuff?
Yeah, so Amazon started when I was in college. Sold my textbooks on Amazon. That's really when I first started. I was in my dorm and I saw that I had books. I knew they were selling for an outrageous amount on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I knew that the bookstore was going to pay me like $10 for a book that I paid $100 for. So I would rather sell it on Amazon. And at the time, I literally didn't know what I was doing. Like I somehow was fortunate enough to do Amazon FBA. Like looking back at it, it amazes me that I did Amazon FBA, but I think I was just like, this is a way to do it. I probably stumbled across a video on YouTube. So I packed up my books, put them in a box, shipped them out, and they sold. And they sold because they were textbooks and they're high-dollar books, and kids on campus, use the books. So I didn't have to use any fancy software to see, is this product selling often? Textbooks just so happen to sell often. So I got lucky with my first products selling fast because they were products that people were using. That's how I started. And then as semesters went on, I would purchase more books from my friends, from teammates, from other students on campus. Eventually took a $700 loan from my dad, and I purchased as many textbooks as I could. And then after that, I paid my dad back his loan and then some. And I was like, okay, I'm a fucking entrepreneur now. I can do this. And so then after that, I graduated college, and it was like, okay, I'm either going to take a gap year and go to graduate school for
physical therapy,
right?
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to do my own thing. And I was having like a quarter life crisis because I was like, I want to travel the world. And I was just doing the math in my head. I was like 2 to 4 weeks off a year, being a physical therapist, making 60 to 100,000, whatever it comes out to. Like, that's not a bad life, but for me, 4 weeks a year scared the shit out of me. And so I was like, I would rather just be like one of those weird hippie people living in my car or van. I didn't even have a van at the time. Didn't have enough money to purchase a van. Didn't have enough credit to, lease a van. Otherwise I probably would have. And so I was like, this is after I started a landscaping business in between.
Yeah.
But after that whole gap year, I was like, I'm just going to like basically run away from home and tell my parents, I just kept pushing graduate school back. Like, we'll do it in a few months. And then, so I lived in my car, took the front seat out, made it so I could lay down and put a bed in my front seat, traveled out to the Grand Canyon, saw All Out West. I vlogged the whole thing.
Yes, I love, dude, honestly, I've been to those like once a year probably. And for context, this is only 3 years ago, right? You're 25 right now?
Yeah.
26 next week,
26
right?
next week,
yeah,
baby.
Happy birthday, man. What's the exact day?
August 10th.
All right, August 10th. You guys mark that on your calendars. But yeah, so this is really
same birthday as Dan Pena.
Interesting. It's really not that long ago.
Do you know Dan Pena at all?
I don't. No, I know who he is. But yeah, so it's like clearly he's done some really cool stuff here. And I think just looking back on the point of how I got started with some of the different things reselling wise, it was really like stumbling upon different things the same way you stumbled upon FBA and like Amazon and all that. And so you said you didn't have a lot of money and you started to travel. So how were you going about paying for that travel?
So I was inspired to travel, number one, just because I wanted to travel. Like, it was an innate desire. But number two, I read a blog by Caleb Roth, and he talked about how he went to a small town in Oklahoma over the weekend with his wife on a road trip, and he made $5,000. I don't know if it was profit or gross sales.
Regardless, though, it's not bad for a weekend,
I was like,
even if it's 20%.
And what he was doing was he was going into thrift stores, libraries, and he was just scanning all the books with his wife. And I was like, if they can do this in 2 days, like, I can figure this shit out. So all I was doing was going into libraries and thrift stores, strictly those two places. And I was just purchasing every book I could for $1, and I was scanning the hell out of all the books.
Using one of these little Bluetooth scanners.
So
shout out to EO.
Oh, this is
no, it doesn't
broken.
even. All right, well,
we'll get one that works right here. And I was just scanning through the books, and I would walk out with a big stack of books from each store. And whenever I filled up like 2 small Home Depot boxes worth, I would ship them to Amazon FBA. And I paid for this with a credit card. I had $3,000.
Yeah. So just essentially scanning the barcodes into an app by Scout IQ, which actually our friend Caleb, who we just referenced, actually created that software. And basically what it does for you is Avery wasn't actually making the buying decisions himself. The software was making it for you,
right? Which
is why I say books is such a good entry point into Amazon because, one, it's super cheap. They're very abundant. And then the app, Scout IQ, essentially makes a lot of the decisions for you. So it's fairly robotic in that manner that you have all the data there on what sells, which, at least for making decisions for like arbitrage and wholesale, it's a lot harder, in my opinion.
Right, yeah.
Just for
I didn't even know that
scanning them through.
I didn't know people were doing retail arbitrage. Like now I know that people are going into stores and they're buying items like electronics, toys. I didn't even know that existed. And even if I would have known it existed, it probably would have intimidated me too much because I don't know if I'm going to spend $17 on an item that's never going to sell. Plus, I didn't have money to buy like a bunch of $20 items. Like I wanted to spend the least amount of money as possible. So that's why I started with books, Amazon FBA. And plus, there's libraries and thrift stores and free books all over the country. So it was like the most frugal way to start a business and pay for my journey. Yeah.
And you, at the same time, like looking now a few years later, I'm sure like, you would have done some stuff differently, but you built out this awesome social media following. And then eventually, now have you hit 2 million in revenue yet?
I don't know yet.
Probably pretty close though.
Yeah. We've done like over the past few months, probably like 300,000.
Yeah. So. And that's obviously revenue, but even if 20% of that's still amazing. And so you probably haven't done that 2 million in revenue mainly from thrift stores. So do you want to talk about the unique angle and kind of the businesses you built out of what started as that little thrift store hustle?
So I got up to the point where I was doing 20,000 a month, and that was probably at 30 to 40% profit.
And that's difficult cherry picking, like very hard with cherry picking. Like,
well, it wasn't strictly cherry picking. It was, if you include liquidations.
Well, but that's like a lot. Yeah, that's still kind of cherry picking.
Yeah. So I got up to the point where I remember I was on Reezy Resell's channel first. He interviewed me first. And I looked back at that video and I did 16,000 a month in sales at the time. And that was all cherry picking, 100%.
And I remember that exact interview because he talks about the canoe. And that is one of the first Amazon interviews I ever listened to. It was 3 years ago. I remember it in my sophomore year. I'm out of school now. This was 3 years ago. It was 2018. It kind of comes full circle, I guess. But yeah, so liquidations, cherry picking stuff, and then you built out a new thing.
Reezy's channel, 16K. So to kind of correlate like social media with my Amazon sales, I was doing 16,000 Amazon, went on Reezy's channel. And then I thought I was a shit at the time for 16K. I was like, people are going to look at me.
And you were living a great life though. You were traveling all around, man. You had a great sense of freedom and all that.
Yeah. And I moved out of my parents' house shortly after that. So I lived in my car, went back home, and I was like, I'm 21, 20, however old I was.
You were probably 22, 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is still spring 2018, getting into summer 2018, for some context.
Well, I'm talking on Reezy's, when I went on Reezy's channel, it was 2019.
2018.
Was 2018?
I'm sure of it,
okay.
Dude. We can reference it, but yeah, because
I lived in my car,
and then
I lived in my car 2017.
I'm acting like I know this dude's life better than he does, but and then you lost all the money during textbook season.
Yeah.
Which was 20. That was 3 years ago this month.
Okay, gotcha. 2018.
2018. Because 2019 was when RI came out.
Okay, so I was doing 16K, and then I started doing liquidations, and liquidations was the first time I went over 20K a month. And that's when I really was like, okay, I could really do this full time. So I was going to colleges closing down. I was going to libraries closing down. I was going inside and just cleaning house. I would go in and I would make 10K profit in a weekend. 10K profit, I'm sourcing $10,000
and then sending them off to Amazon's warehouse, and
sell
90% of those will sell
3 to
within
6 months. Yeah,
probably
whatever. 80% realistically. And so after doing the liquidations, during liquidations, I was actually in Washington, D.C. doing college closed down there, and I was scanning through all their books. And then I met Steve Rake and Rake and Profit on YouTube, and I was like, yo, dude, I'm in your backyard. Turns out
6 hours away.
He lives
8 hours
in Connecticut.
Away.
Yeah, it was 8 to 10 hour drive. And he's like, oh, if you're nearby, come by, we'll shoot some videos. And I never really thought that my social media following would pay off big in terms of like Amazon sales, but it did, because I went to Steve's place. We shot videos. He blew up my channel. And then serendipity occurred. And a few months later, I think at the time I was doing a little bit of this, I was selling restricted books for other people on my account.
Yeah. And you want to talk about just the restricted part of that? Because it's such like a unique angle, and that you were lucky that you started when you did to get that.
Yeah. So ungated. My account was ungated in popular textbooks.
Which no one's is pretty much.
Yeah,
like,
no new accounts
like,
are.
Yeah, I'm not. Really, no one I know honestly is besides you, essentially.
Yeah, and now we have partners that I found the people that are ungated. So if you're ungated in textbooks and want to partner with me, hit me up. I throw it out there in the universe. It might happen. We're always looking for more partners. But anyway, my account was ungated, and I was selling textbooks for my friends and even some people other than my friends, like friends of friends. And then eventually I was like, okay, this is working really well, because a lot of people were sending me the restricted books. I was like, I'm going to make a website called restrictedinventory.com. Shout out to Caleb Roth, actually. Caleb Roth, we were at a bar, and he was like, you should buy the domain restrictedinventory.com.
That's amazing.
And I opened it up, and it was available, and I purchased it there.
Was it $12? So that's a pretty good domain.
$12.
That's surprising that wasn't taken. You figured that someone wasn't in some business, that there was some type of restriction in a product-based business or whatever.
Right. So now I own that, and then that textbook season we did $80K in sales,
which is a ton. I literally remember that. So that was only 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. And so you know best. So you do the time frame.
True. Yeah.
And so when that happened, when the $80K happened, I was like, holy shit, this is like really real. And the month after, we were actually on pace to do $100K that October. I don't know if we would have done it or not. Maybe we would have ended at like $85K.
Still,
I was probably repricing way too much in the off season. But we just had a ton of momentum. Everybody was sending us restricted books. And that's how it all started. And that's my business today that makes me the most money. And so, yeah, basically my social media following, I was able to source inventory from, because I solved a problem in the community. People couldn't sell restricted items. I could. They started sending them to me. And that's how my social media following really allowed me to scale my Amazon business.
And you had only really been building it for like a year or so at that point. And I'm sure you had no idea, like you just said, that it would end up paying off big the way it did. But you had the distribution already. And then when the idea came up, it wasn't that, oh, I'm going to have to go get followers or pay for ads. You already had an awesome community that trusted you. They'd seen you grind. They'd seen you come up.
Right.
That's why I'm so big on telling pretty much like, especially like Amazon sellers. I think so many of them rely so much on the product side of things, when like what happened with you, account shutdowns can happen, or just capital issues, scaling issues. There's a ton of stuff that can go wrong, when on the social media side, it's so scalable. I like using social media, to meet different people, which has paid off big in terms of helping me expand into new categories, figuring out different tips and tricks. And the way I personally operate and the way I see social media is like, there's a limited amount of, I can only buy so many products, right? Get so much capital, right? But if I can, be friends with Avery and send him stuff to buy, like, or whatever, vice versa, which happens all the time, I'd much rather have my friends win than just some random people. So because I'm putting myself out there a lot, and he does as well, we trust each other. And there's many cases like this with other people as well. We're able to cross-pollinate different opportunities and take advantage of different 100%. Stuff a lot more than if we hadn't put ourselves out there.
And Amazon could shut you down tomorrow. And it's not just Amazon that can just,
it could be credit lines. Like,
it could be that too. But it could also be like, to play devil's advocate, it could be IG, it could be Instagram, it could be Snapchat. I mean, not like anyone has a huge Snapchat. Do you have a huge Snapchat?
No, I haven't. I don't even have that.
I don't know why I threw that one out there.
It's like back in the day, though. It could have been.
Ty Lopez started on Snapchat.
Shout out Ty Lopez. Yeah.
We got YouTube. Any of these huge platforms, Google, especially Facebook, which is part of Instagram, they can shut you down tomorrow as well.
They could, but they like us the best because advertisers pay the most for our type of content.
Right. That's
they
true.
Could, yeah.
But in paid traffic,
that's diversifying on the different platforms too. That's a good point. Like not just being on Instagram.
Yeah. You want your name to be out there. You want to be like omnipresent.
The way I see it is like a web of content. Like, speaking of that, free Discord, we just launched it 2 weeks ago. Join below, Amazon Launchpad.
Yeah. And so traffic sources like that though, like having an email list or a Discord
group. The way I see the Discord, it's like a way that it's not based on algorithms, right? Like just community, like it's kind of like a Facebook group. Just
my demographics with an email list. You have an email list and you want to get your message across. What you could do is on Instagram you could post in your story, but what happens? Sometimes you get shadow banned, like whatever that means. Like everybody, like if a social media platform has algorithms, and they're trying to make it the best / most addictive experience for the users.
The user, yeah.
People are inevitably going to be shadow banned. It's not like Instagram intentionally blocks your shit.
It's just the nature of stuff. Yeah, like make better content.
It's
trying different
It's going to
stuff.
happen, you know. But knowing that that's going to happen, knowing you live in a world where that could happen with Amazon, with anything, not shadow bans. I don't really know how that would correlate with the Amazon.
Just like
just the fact that they can
algorithmically
shut your shit down.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have different traffic sources and ways where you can go directly to the source, and that's email lists, Discords, and like the more you spread yourself out there. And, you know, the fact that I can go on Miles' channel, he can come on mine.
Yeah, distribution. We were talking
friends.
about that. Like, we're meeting up with probably like 20 of like really good friends, and we're all going to be able to, like, because we all like post different stuff out of it. And that's one, and more importantly, how we even met in the first place.
Right.
But we'll be able to get different exposure, and, you know, you offer a service that I don't, and different things.
It just makes you
vice
more
versa.
robust in general.
And it's a hedge against account. I'd say it's like, I didn't even mean to go in this route for like the video at all, but like it's important to talk about like social media as a hedge against like account shutdowns and just different issues that can happen in your
100%.
Product-based reselling business.
100%.
And another thing we're actually going to talk about in the next video, which will be posted after this, probably a few days after this, is like delegation, automation, different things, because you've done an amazing job of that, probably the best of any reseller. And I wouldn't even essentially call like it reselling, honestly, at this point.
Yeah,
I don't
the
know,
definition
like,
is kind of skewed.
Yeah, but it's very cool stuff with all the like virtual assistants and different things he's used, and expanded into other different things as well. Like
we did do 200K in the last 2 months reselling.
That's true. Yeah, true.
That.
Yes,
so, and that was 100% using systems delegation.
Yeah. So we're gonna go into that in the next video. Probably we have upload with Romer, which I'll probably eventually link below. Too, but that was an amazing kind of going through the first few years. In the next video, we'll talk kind of more about what you're up to right now in terms of scaling different things, and what you got going on with all that. But yeah, all Romer's information will be linked below. He's on Instagram, YouTube. He has a great YouTube channel as well. We'll be filming some videos of us on there as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know if you got any questions. Hopefully we'll get you in the comments if there's any questions.
I'll reply to all comments. Comment below.
Yep, and you'll probably be on, a live streamer there too, that we're doing in the next few weeks as well. So thank you guys also for coming to all the live streams. Pretty much every night, 8 p.m. Eastern, we've been doing those, which have been amazing. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Romer, for coming on. Make sure to subscribe below, and we will see you in the next one.
Hit that subscribe button, guys.
Appreciate it.
Peace.